In panel C of graph 25.6, we illustrated a sequence of decision-making under which an incumbent firm, that currently is the only firm in the market, may use quantity setting as a tool for entry deterrence. In other words, it may set quantity above the monopoly quantity in order to make it sufficiently unattractive for any potential competitor to pay a fixed entry cost to enter the market. We'll now consider this case a little more carefully, and in particular identify the circumstances under which entry deterrence can work for an incumbent firm. We begin by illustrating the relationship between a firm's profit on the horizontal axis and the firm's output on the vertical axis, assuming that this is the only firm in the market. Initially, as output increases, profit increases, but at some point the output level has reached its profit maximizing level, and if output rises beyond that, profit for the firm falls. The highest profit is achieved if the firm produces the monopoly quantity and thus earns the monopoly profit. If it produces less than that, it's producing too little. If it produces more, it has to lower price sufficiently in order to sell its goods, such that profit actually falls. In the entry deterrence game depicted in panel C of graph 25.5, we discovered that the incumbent firm can always guarantee itself the Stackelberg leader profit by simply allowing firm 2 to enter and playing a Stackelberg sequential quantity setting game with the entrant after the entrant has paid its fixed entry costs. This implies that anything that the incumbent firm does to deter entry will never cause its profit to decline below the Stackelberg leader profit. If it is the only firm that remains in the industry, there's some level of output that will result in the Stackelberg leader profit, and that level of output is indicated on the vertical axis in panel A. The fixed entry cost that firm 2 has to pay in order to enter the market is the barrier to entry that gives the incumbent firm market power. If that fixed entry cost is sufficiently high, the incumbent firm can exercise its market power to the full extent, produce the monopoly quantity, sell at the monopoly price, and still know that firm 2 will not enter the market because the entry barriers are too high. Thus, there exists some fixed cost FC bar at which firm 2 is just indifferent between entering and not entering if the incumbent firm is producing the monopoly quantity. For any fixed entry cost above that, firm 2 will definitely not enter, even though the incumbent firm is producing the monopoly quantity. Thus, for the range of fixed costs above FC bar, the incumbent firm will produce the monopoly quantity, illustrated here by the blue line segment, whereas the potential entrant will produce nothing because she's not entering the market, as illustrated here by the magenta line segment. If the fixed market entry costs are sufficiently low, then the quantity firm 1 would have to produce in order to deter entry would be so high that firm 1 would actually make less profit than the Stackelberg leader profit it can guarantee itself by simply allowing firm 2 to enter the market. Thus, there exists an FC lower bar that makes the incumbent firm just indifferent between producing the quantity necessary to keep firm 2 out of the market and letting firm 2 enter the market and getting the Stackelberg leader profit. For any fixed entry cost below that, firm 1 will be better off simply letting firm 2 enter the market and then accept the Stackelberg leader profit. This is illustrated here, with firm 1 producing along the blue line segment below the fixed cost FC lower bar. This blue line segment lies at the same height as the monopoly quantity because we previously determined that the Stackelberg leader quantity is in fact equal to the monopoly quantity. Firm 2 in this case would produce the Stackelberg follower quantity, which is half the monopoly quantity, as indicated by the magenta line segment. Now consider the interval of fixed entry costs between FC lower bar and FC upper bar. Remember that FC upper bar was the lowest fixed entry cost at which the incumbent firm can still produce the monopoly quantity and not have firm 2 enter the market. If the fixed entry cost falls below FC upper bar and the incumbent firm continues to produce the monopoly quantity, firm 2 will enter the market. So firm 1 needs to raise its output in order to lower price and make it less attractive for firm 2 to enter the market. When FC is just below FC upper bar, the incumbent firm only has to raise output by a little bit. But as the fixed entry cost continues to decline, firm 1 will have to produce more and more in stage 1 of the game in order to keep firm 2 out of the market. Thus, the increasing slope of the blue line as we move to the left beginning at FC upper bar. In panel A of the graph, we found the quantity above the monopoly quantity at which the incumbent firm would make the Stackelberg leader profit if it were the only firm in the market and if it produced that quantity. This is the highest possible quantity that firm 1 will ever want to produce in order to keep firm 2 from entering the market. If it needed to produce any more than that, its profit from keeping firm 2 out of the market would be less than the Stackelberg leader profit it can make by simply letting firm 2 enter the market. When the fixed entry cost gets to FC lower bar, the incumbent firm therefore gives up on trying to keep firm 2 out of the market and simply accepts entry and accepts its position as the Stackelberg leader. While it takes a little work to develop panel B of this graph, it should make a lot of intuitive sense when we're all done. Essentially it says, when you have a single firm in the market, that firm can be fully protected from any outside competition if it's sufficiently costly to enter that market. In other words, if the barriers to entry are sufficiently high. In that case, the incumbent firm simply behaves as a monopoly. But as the fixed entry cost falls, there comes a point at which the incumbent firm has to worry about the potential competition from potential entrants. Initially, as fixed entry costs fall, the incumbent firm will simply increase its output in order to lower price and make it less attractive for potential entrants. In this segment of fixed costs, the firm is successfully engaged in entry deterrence, raising output, lowering price, and keeping firms out. But if the fixed entry costs get sufficiently low, the incumbent firm can't keep competitors out of the market anymore without losing more money than simply letting the firms enter. Thus, as the barriers to entry fall, eventually firm 2 will enter, and the two will be engaged in Stackelberg competition.